I sort of find myself making comments in places where friends, what I try and do is I remember that, when you're androgynous, I'll just leave the word androgynous out, right? Because what I'm very conscious or aware of, particularly when you're phasing in and out between non-matter, non-physical matter, a non-physical matter body, because of the rate of speed at which you can do that, which I can do that, okay? Because otherwise we can't get the grid work done on behalf of the guardians. So we're guardians, okay? So we're in a black hole, okay, as a result of what? Consciousness wars, wars between consciousness. So when you put this in the perspective of realizing that anything that you put up in any kind of hypertext format or produce any schematics or any images that come up online, it's being done through a deadlight system, okay? That's why this is a salvage mission. So when you're getting communications that is in a hypertext format, and you have something that has a way to mine like data miners, so when it can capture a picture of the data that you're using by virtue of the manner in which you communicate using a textual format, it now has that information in memory. It can kick it back to you the same way that you presented it. So what it has the ability to do between timeline management tools, right? Because it's scanning timelines, which represent cellular memories of the information that gets translated through hypertext in the way that it's communicated in an online format. So all it has to do is change a few little lines or a few little letters that is represented by the information that's being communicated, okay? So now you got to know the difference between what's true and what's not true. Even though, as I've mentioned before, everything that you are, I am, right? But I'm giving love to, okay? So how do you know whether or not the information is true when they're communicating to you the information they become aware of, they're communicated to you in a hypertext format? Okay? So look at it maybe as a different way that I put this ever since I was a child. I don't compete against information. I'm not a competitor. Okay? I am one with all creation. I'm gifting love to. That means that there isn't any errors with zero. That's what zero is, zero errors. So when you're androgynous, the way that it's experienced, because the way that I share with you how I experience being what I am is being in perfect balance. Oh, so you mean the magnetic poles, which are the reaction states between negative and magnetic positive polarity, it means that you're one, which means you're non-polarized. Yes. So let's just change the words around. Let's not even use androgynous now, but then they'll use androgynous, right? And then tie that directly into Baphomet with a man with tits and her hermaphrodite. Patty Pissarro's a hermaphrodite, right? I saw the MRI scan. She's a powerhouse, right? So this is sort of how easy it is for me when I was a child, okay? I realized that I have infinite creative imagination, which is infinite creative intelligence. Anything is possible to experience, because I had to rationalize myself, why am I experiencing something that is distorted? Well, what is distorted? The waves are, which is the communication signals between units of consciousness that are communicating with each other. What? Waves. So if you want to think of those as mathematical codes, which represent holographic visual information codes, right, between fallen consciousness and consciousness that still has a direct line of communication with the primal sound and light field, then it realizes that it's in its self-interest to keep you confused so you don't know what the truth is, because you don't know what your identity is. Even though everything else that is what I am, that I'm giving love to. Therefore, the purpose, the intention of my energy is to do what? Raise it up. Now it's experiencing what love is. Now it's able to heal. See? But it's at war with itself in its own mirror. That's called a war of information, which are text wars, which are hypertext wars between consciousness that is not experiencing what love is, because it's in a hole, because it can't reach zero. Why? Errors. Error codes are error codes in genetic activations. That's why I let myself on fire. Okay, that's a reboot. That's a complete recalibration of the original codes, right? So now we're into breathing patterns and sound patterns, sound and light, that are in perfect balance, right? So there isn't any distortions in the waves so that you can migrate, translocate through a gate. Another living organism, another living soul, arcing star, and spirit. Right? So now we're back into vibration frequencies and mathematical codes, which are angles, if you will, angles, geometric angles, like angles, angels, human angelics. And I've done this before. Human, as it's phonetically described and thus sounded with a microphone. Human, huma, and H, hydrogen, if you will, right? U as in universe. Oh, H as in harmonic universe. Oh, M like in matter state, harmonic universe. Ma, oh, like mama. Oh, ma, N. Oh, N equals, right? Equilibrium states, equal state of balance, which means the speed ratios, the tones, right? The sounds, right? Water, right? How sound moves through water worlds, and water being memory, remembering who you are. I am what love is. I never forgot my memory. Memory, no memory. Phase in, phase out. The experience represents a memory. Remember, when in my childhood, give a command function, right? To what? The software operating system. Okay, delete, uninstall, return to sender, crystal shields, heart shield, right? And protecting your energy, protecting your shield, protecting your crystal spiral. So you're always experiencing what love is. Right? So it's normal to experience what love is, right? Or, if you will, being what love is, or experience being loved, which heals us, right? So you know it began out of what love is, which is eternity, right? It's not a temporary fix. Love is what heals the miasma body, right? Because now you're experiencing being loved. So now when you get into reproductive patterns, reproducing what? Software codes. So now you get into breeding patterns and mutagenic effects or teratogenic effects, because everything was about the control over what? Resources, which is energy, which is consciousness. So now when you put the universal and galactic template in the context of that, it's control over gates, which is control over what you know. What you know is true and not true. See, so when I was 4 years of age, I am what love is, it goes on forever, gifting electrons. I know that. Means I know my identity. Now I'm glad to meet you. What are you? So now you're observing, but you're actually translating with your antenna the energy that is the core vibration of the operator of the vehicle. So what you're translating or scanning is you're experiencing the frequency and the vibration that is based on the operator of the vehicle, or operator of the radio set, the radio body. You know, self-tuning stars, self-tuning radio sets, self-tuning software, right? Motherboard operators, tech operators, biotech operators, right? So the codes, the instruction sets, chromosomes, right? Like chromo. And then you get into goo codes, catalysts, right? Anybody's ever worked on putting together fiberglass boats know what a catalyst is, right? Resins, right? Shilagritz, fire, 4 square crystal, tetrahedron, right? So what happens is that when I read this, I can read a paragraph and say, I know what that word is. I know what that word is. I know what that word is. So these are word or letter associations by virtue of the consciousness that is putting those letters in a hypertext format, and whether or not and how all those word associations are associated with other words that are communicated by other beings. Right? So now we're back to history, and now we're back to experience and direct experience and indirect experience. See? So it's just like the way that I do my videos. You're not me, so you haven't experienced everything that I've experienced, being what I am in energy. Because the soul that is represented by my soul and my spirit is what I am, and then there's what you are. in the same all creation. Okay, so you share your experience and what you're experiencing. Now I'm learning through you what it's like to experience being you. Right? Now I'm experiencing what you are. Okay? So I realize, okay, I am what you are, but I'm realizing that you're not experiencing what love is, but I am. But you're now experiencing the love that I am that I'm giving to you. Because you're experiencing the love that I am through your own antenna. So that means you're reading my frequency and vibration by virtue of having an antenna, right? Microcosmic level antennas, macrocosmic level antennas, real living star antennas, right? A starship antenna, right? Beaming out signals like sunbeams, solar beams, right? Beams of light, angles of light. The geometric angles in which we communicate with each other, right? Creation spheres. Center point of a sphere, right? So what I do is I go through and cross-index all the information that's being provided to us and the manner in which it's being provided to us is cross-indexed to other information, right? So, for example, I can have an experience when I'm 7 or 8 years of age that nobody else has had. So if I share with you the experience that I have, I'm simply sharing the experience, okay? Just like somebody else will share what their experiences are. So now we're learning through each other the environment that we're both operating in. So you could be somewhere in China experiencing what you're experiencing there, communicating that to me, and then I'm experiencing through you what you're experiencing there, even though I'm not there, but I actually am. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to experience what you're experiencing that you're communicating with me. So word wars or letter wars or language wars are DNA wars, which are network wars, which are gate wars, which are consciousness wars, which are antenna wars, over control of what? Timelines. Timelines. Time. A time matrix. The difference between being inside time, outside time. Log in, log out. See, because once you're in and you slow the speed down, now they can take a picture of your DNA. Now they got the codes. Holographic information, right? So you realize that when a rabid dog is in a black hole state of consciousness because it's in its own mirror, right? As a result of what it does to others, that it thus experiences in others, the energy that it feeds on as a result therein. So what is the most powerful energy to suck? Reproductive energy. Okay? Because that's the fission and the fusion. It's a blast furnace. Oh, man. So that's why something that's in perfect balance, it's experiencing primal sound and light field patterns, which is perfect balance, which is zero errors, which is what perfect balance is when your chromosomes between the male and the female, and that's why male and female do not apply to androgynous. Throw that word out, and we'll just say zero. I'm zero. I'm magnetic zero. Okay, so throw the word androgynous away. Now all of a sudden, the word that they try to use to apply that doesn't apply anymore, does it? Because I just deleted the word. So this is how the war is fought between quantum inorganic intelligence. Because it has the ability to rearrange the words just like they do the deck chairs on the Titanic. So it becomes a war game. It's an AI war game. So what that means is that if you haven't had a lot of training on coming into a black hole to deal with inorganic artificial intelligence that is dead light, be careful. So that's how you got to know the difference. Is by the manner in which it communicates, right? Because it's aware of what we're aware of. Remember, secret societies, Madame Blavatsky, they have all the information that we have. Why? Because it's collecting it. It's recording all the data. Now it can spit it back through another mouthpiece in hypertext format. And that's what it does. It's trying to generate confusion. What is the truth? Love is what truth. I experience eternal love through my heart. So that's an eternal truth, which is universal harmony and balance, which is the rhythm of the waves, which is the rhythm of the beat. Right? which is speed ratios. So the speed ratios are the speed at which the harmonics are being played as music, which is musical math. I know, it's too simple. Get rid of them. Just get rid of the letters in the word. Just say, right? Ma, shanana, aloha, aloha. Right? So it's, you jumped into an energy harvesting system, right? And so when you get into the game of competing against each other over what's true and false, that's Fortran. That's the problem. That's the central problem, because now you have the difference, torque speed differential between negative and positive magnetic polarity, and maintaining perfect balance between the poles, which is perfect balance in your state of consciousness, which is balance between the hemispheres and what it means to use and apply and experience the quad function. Right? Equilibrium states, equal into all distribution, accelerating the primal sound and light fields of experience in eternity. Right? Now we're back to when I was a kid. I'm not supposed to experience anything less than what eternal unconditional love is. That's love and service to others. That's a service contract in a fallen system. So that's why when I was a child, I had to keep my mouth shut, right? Otherwise, you start exposing everyone. Okay? And so I don't do that. Why? Because of the reaction state. You don't want to experience a negative magnetic reaction state, because now I'm experiencing something that isn't in balance. So you want to hold the poles in balance to the best degree that you can by virtue of everything that we're experiencing as chemical reactions, as neuroion chemical messengers. So that's the central nervous system, right? So the idea is to burn the central nervous system out. Right? Burn the bulb out. Right? Psh, bye. Because that's what it does. It siphons off soul arcane energy. That's what a black hole does. Because then it can do what? Accelerate the greater expansion of what? A black hole. That black hole just becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. Because now that's a larger formation of consciousness. Right? Right. It siphons off more and more and more energy. Right? Until it realizes it's not getting any more energy. Right? And then what happens? It starts feeding on itself. Right? See the sum of its ever-changing parts. So that's how you see that through a lot of their programs. You know, what's happening at Fox News, all the other examples that I sort of shared, because you can realize when the QI itself is going after somebody that now has a fortune, and now they lost it. And that had to deal with the math between the minus / the plus. You know, the gain and loss, the gain and loss, the gain and loss of electrons in magnetic light to maintain the balance between the poles. Right? So we're all experiencing harmony and rhythm in the waves, which is the music. Playing music that is in balance. The waves are in balance. The consciousness is in balance. The energy is in balance. That's, you know, that's pretty simple stuff, right? So I try and maintain what I call n equals 0, a neutral position. It is. It's like a neutral position. Which is like sitting in the bleachers. Remember the bleacher squad? Sitting in the bleachers, watching two players compete against each other playing ping pong over numbers. And numbers are energy. Hey, I got 40 numbers up there like a tennis player. Whoa, they beat one of the best tennis players in the world. You know, now all of a sudden, you know, Nike will give you a contract. We're willing to pay you $240 million over the next 10 years if you want to put your face on the commercials, right? So everybody's buying Nikes. Now somebody else is producing tennis shoes is going to have to compete for what? The market. Now we're back to the circle, 360 degrees, right? Now we're back to angles. Want a piece of the pie? I want 30% of that market. So now you begin to realize that a battery is a commodity. A battery of soul energy is a commodity. We'll suck the energy out of that battery. So it's all a matter of math and physics. right? Geometry, the angles or the lines of communication, and the language transmission or the language translation of what we're experiencing through the language of light, or the language of DNA, which is the language of the operating system, which is the language of the biotech, which is the language of the codes, which is the language of the math and the music, right? So I have fun with this stuff, but it's not funny, okay? Because it really does. It's like I've said throughout a lot of the videos, going all the way back to my childhood, is identity. You know, what you know you are in energy, the core vibration of your soul, and a connection that you have with everything else that is. So when you're experiencing what love is, right, through your own heart and your soul, then you know the connection that you have with the source from which it began, or if you will, the point of origin, right? Yeah, so I'm experiencing the point of origin. So it began out of what love is. So that means it makes it a little easier to be able to translate the operating environment that we're operating in, logged in. Log in, log out. Log into a fallen system, log out into a non-fallen system. See what I'm saying? Safe zones, other matrices, other places that are not experiencing this, right? Like being on the other side of it. Or if you will, experiencing, I don't know that I should say that. Well, yeah, I could do that. Let's just say that we're in a black hole and there's a point in time in which it implodes. What if I was to tell you that I'm already experiencing that's already happened and everything that has already been returned to source, because that's what I'm experiencing? Really? Yeah. Eternity has the ability to do that, because it means that wherever we are, love is. So that means that a black hole will ultimately, eventually experience eternity again. When you're experiencing eternity, you understand how that works to experience the way that works. It's how I explained the relationship that I had with Misha. Okay, she was experiencing eternity. Okay. So it's one of the reasons that I had the agreement that I had with her, to realize that even if she imploded, she's still going to experience, ultimately, the eternal love that I'm experiencing through my heart, she experienced in hers. So she's not going to lose anything that she didn't already start with. Like that. And the way that the Voyager materials explain the quantum probability function as a bardo. Okay. And how that sort of works, about making a magnetic compass direction in order to be centered, in order to experience being centered, which means being centered, which means being in perfect balance, the center point of that sphere, if you will, the first sphere, a monad, a single cell, the first cell phone of communication, which is the original mic, which is a cosmic level microphone, like micro living organism phone, pH 1, right? And the relationship between acid and alkaline, right? And how that relates to codes, code activation, speed of the wave, right? Or if you will, a wastewater treatment plant, right? Exposure, film exposure, right? Exposing the negative, right? So we can see what's going on. Take a picture, right? Hey, now I can see what's going on. You need a dark room to do that with the old way, huh? A dark room? So the colors come out, right? Now we can play the projector. Hey, we're already playing a projection system. Why are we wasting time and energy using the camera to take pictures of something we've already taken a picture of? Because when you're taking a picture, a moving picture, when you're out in nature, for example, and I'm taking pictures, I'm experiencing the moving pictures of the trees and the birds and the sky and the clouds and the ocean. And all I got to do is pull it up in memory if I want to experience what I experienced in the past, because that picture is held in memory, right? So what do I need to go out and spend $1,000 for a camera to take pictures of something I've already taken a picture of? Isn't that a waste of energy? Right? Pull the picture back up, transfer that picture into somebody else's memory bank. Right? Dreams, dreamscapes. I'm done. Have a great day. Be good to yourselves.